I'm here with Elliott, my good friend from a number of years now, and I was looking over some of your data recently, and you have had this massive improvement. But before we get into that, can you kind of just tell people what you do? And I mean, what you do is fascinating, and so I would like you to explain a little bit about that in
Yeah,
relation to sports.
yeah, for sure. So my name is Elliott Williams. I'm the director of functional performance here for the San Francisco 49ers. Currently in my eighth year. Started in 2017. Came from a clinical background, working strictly posture. Came from a company called the Egoscue Method, which is founded by a gentleman named Pete Egoscue,
Yeah, awesome.
and he worked with Lynch and a bunch of NFL guys way back in the day, just on musculoskeletal integrity, right?
Mm-hmm.
Trying to maintain balance within the system, alignment within the joints of the body, and with that comes efficiency of movement, efficiency of signal, and just overall efficiency of use. A lot of the time, when you think about the body and it looking off or something sticks out to you, that's kind of your check engine light on the car, right? It's
Gotcha.
never the engine, right? It's the gas cap, it's the tire pressure, it's your windshield wiper fluid, right? That's your pain.
Mm-hmm.
Your symptom that's speaking to you is just your check engine light. Very, very likely, it's it's about misalignment.
So what do you see when you start to work on the misalignment? Like, what are some downstream effects of that?
Well, there's always compensation, right? Anytime
Okay.
you change a joint position through muscular work. My work is 100% hands off. I'm not a chiropractor. I'm not a physical therapist. I'm not doing soft tissue. I'm strictly evaluating via my eyes and an image captured app that I have that I utilize, and that helps us kind of create and develop. Corrective alignment based exercises to help put the body back into balance. But what you find when the body comes back into balance, literally the very first thing that everybody notices is, oh, I can breathe easier,
Wow.
right?
Isn't that
Head
amazing?
position, angles,
I'm,
the,
I'm,
the
I'm
body's,
thinking about it right now.
the body is all about angles.
Yeah.
And if we're in good upright posture and good angles, then oxygen flows well, blood circulates efficiently, your heart can pump and
Hmm.
work within the lungs at a nice, simple, balanced state.
It's interesting where your location. It just feels like the family living room in there. Like I go in there and the guys are all just doing their thing,
Yeah,
and it's not like a place that's vacant. I mean, it's all the conversations, all the things are kind of like happening
yeah,
in there, and you
yeah.
can tell that it's become kind of part of the culture and what they do, which is it's really cool.
I appreciate that.
Yeah,
And it is. It is very cool.
it's awesome. So, just so happens, space wise, the brain room that we have
Yep.
and that Ian works in is like right next to you. Well, there's a little snack room in
Yeah.
the middle,
Yeah.
but and so we end up spending a lot of time just kind of interacting back and
Yeah,
forth.
we do.
Can you kind of explain where you see what we're doing with the brain and the nervous system kind of interfacing with what you're doing with the musculoskeletal system
Yeah.
and where that started to maybe connect more over time?
Absolutely. Well, I think first of all, it comes from belief system, right?
True.
The first part of my belief system is you cannot separate when you're treating somebody in pain or for performance, whatever the case may be. You cannot separate the brain and the body.
Hmm.
If you do, you're doing the individual a great disservice. I think it started with the anti-separation of the brain and body,
Right.
right? And then it comes down to experience. I will never promote something to my child, my wife, my friend, my athlete, if I'm not willing to go through the process
Right.
first. And so that was just an easy thing where, okay, all right, let's see what this is. Let's start doing it and let's commit to it for a certain amount of time. And let's see the impact it has on me. So whether it's anecdotal or a data point, whatever you want to call it, it still has value.
Right.
And as we've continued to grow within our franchise, within our culture, mental health has always been
Mm.
a
True.
huge topic of conversation. And if you separate the brain and the body, again, you're doing a great disservice. But when you combine the two and you find that balance musculoskeletally and that parasympathetic autonomic state that you're looking for, then what do you get?
Yeah,
You get a more balanced, happier person. We're actually treating mental health,
true.
right? But
Yeah,
we're not. Yes, there's conversations. Yes, there's rapport being built. Yes, we're creating connection and things like that. But at the end of the day, we're servicing what's in front of us, and that's the brain and the body.
right.
And so that just makes too much sense, but I can't do it all.
Hmm.
So then when we have a brain room in, it's like, hey, you just did a phenomenal job with your exercises. Let's go solidify the brain body experience and let's go lock it in visually and autonomically with your breath.
So I've been seeing this thing in your breathing lately. Okay, so I mean, you've been doing this for a long time, but you have done something in the last couple months where your frequencies on your heart of coherence are just, they're phenomenal. They're up in the high 90s, which is really hard for a 23-year-old elite athlete. Not that you're not an elite athlete, but I don't think you're 23 anymore. So can you tell me a little bit about what's going on, and then what have you experienced as that's going on?
Yeah. So the past couple months, first, I think that there's one thing in life that every single human being has in common, and that's your breath.
Sure.
Without it, you die.
Yeah.
And then you no longer have that in common with me. So it's something that makes sense. It's something that I know I do regularly on a daily basis.
Hmm.
But the more I do it, then I have a lapse in time.
Mm.
And I had a little lapse for a bit. And I noticed in my own personal cycle, my own personal life, that certain things were starting to happen to where I was starting to hit the down part of my slope
Mm.
about mid-season, which is kind of typical throughout the past 7 years. Um, Personally, my wife's about to have a kid. I'm 42 years old, so that's a little terrifying as well.
And this is
This is kid number 4,
four?
8 years after kid number 3.
Wow.
So a little bit of a curveball, to say
Yeah.
the least. So I think the football season has helped me stay focused.
Yeah.
But as we get closer towards the end, the focus starts to shift to where it really should be.
Yeah.
And as that focus started shifting, I started getting very anxious and I started
Huh.
getting very nervous.
Because you were coming out of that structure of the football season,
Yep,
and you're thinking, it just started opens the floodgates.
absolutely.
Interesting.
And I could tell that I was starting to subconsciously prepare for that whole process.
Mm.
And that was taking away from my presence. And what I know keeps you present, because it's the only thing that is true, is your breath.
Wow. Yeah.
So that kind of spurred my butt to get back into it and to lock back into it and to be consistent with it. And I think I have been. So if you just think about the body being a hose, just one body being a hose,
Yeah.
and if there's any sort of crinkle in the hose, any sort of elevation or off tilt,
Yeah.
off kilter, that water's going to take a longer period of time, or the water's not going to even come out,
Absolutely.
right?
Yeah.
So when you turn the water on, that's your brain.
Mm-hmm.
When the water comes out, that's your body moving.
Right.
So if there's a kink and that water can't come out, the body can't move. So to me, knowing that I'm in very good alignment because I practice it every day. We always say in my world that posture is an autobiography of all your experiences and where you're at currently. When I get really nervous and anxious, I get very tight in my upper back.
Yeah.
My head comes forward.
Yeah.
That's the majority of us. Well, when your head comes forward and you go into a C instead of an S, what's that do to your head? It pushes it forward. Then you're not able to get enough oxygen in.
Yeah.
So even if you can access your diaphragm, you're not doing it nearly as efficiently as
Wow.
you can.
Wow.
So the goal for me is to change the angles from the head to the shoulder to the hip so that that spinal curve can allow the proper angles of the breathing to access the diaphragm. And
So
then,
it's not just taking 3 deep breaths.
no, no, it's not. It's not. But the breath can also trigger the postural shift as well.
Yeah.
Not just the posture is going to help improve the breathing.
Yeah.
The breath can help you change the posture. It's meditation, right? It's
Yeah.
mindfulness,
Yeah.
right? If you want to be in a this is the guts behind meditation and mindfulness
Right.
ultimately.
This is the science.
This is the science behind it all. The synergistic happenings between the alignment of the body and how efficient and well it can breathe are so important, because your brain and your heart, your gut and your head, they all talk 7,000 times per second
Yeah.
per day.
They're just going.
They're going constantly, so there has to be a little harmony.
Mhm.
You know,
I hear people nowadays, the big word is resilience. Everybody's saying resilience this, resilience that. How would you define that? And how would you say what we're talking about
yeah.
maybe feeds into that in a way that's just not a catchphrase?
Resilience to me is your ability to fight through adversity, but not have to fight through adversity.
Hmm.
You can be resilient and be in the moment without having to fight. And it's a calmness, it's a coolness, it's being collected and present and being where your feet are,
Yeah.
and knowing that what your next step is the appropriate step to take no matter what it is, because what you've done to that point has set you up to make that correct decision. That's resilience.
That's what it's the preparedness.
Resilience cannot occur in a week. It cannot occur in a month. I truly believe that what I do before 6 a.m.
Let's make sure that
sets me up and prepares me to lay my head down and sleep at
Yeah.
night. And that's, 18 hours away from each other. But I believe that resilience is something that's trained, but it's defined by you.
Mm.
Whatever you have to be resilient in, that's what you got to go for.
Right. And that's what you have to train for.
That's
and
what you
prepare
have to
for.
train for, prepare
Right.
for. And it's not everybody has to train the same way.
Yeah.
But we still all breathe, and we still all have posture.
Mhm.
Posture's our home. You get one of them for your whole life.
Yeah. I love it.
You know?
What do you think it means to have an inner armor?
I mean, you're robust, man. You're capable, you're durable, you're willing. Having inner armor, like in all seriousness, it allows you to face that adversity
Mm.
and not panic. Like I've told you a million times, the first thing I do when I wake up is I go and get into an ice bath. It's 37 degrees. It's between 4:30 and 5 a.m. It's the last thing I want to do
Yeah.
every morning.
Wow.
But because I do that and I'm choosing that, I can handle it.
That's
As long as
awesome.
I did my breathing.
While you were in yeah, there we go. I gotta get the breathing. That's awesome. Hey, thanks, man. I appreciate it.
Appreciate you,
Awesome.
brother. Appreciate you.